The mere exposure effect picks your taste for you. You think you chose your favorite song, your favorite face, the route you take to work. But repetition chose most of it first, quietly, long before you ever weighed in. Here's the strange part psychologists keep confirming. The more times your brain simply sees a thing, the more it starts to prefer that thing. No reason required, no logic, no argument, just contact, repeated enough times. It doesn't feel like programming. It feels like personality. It feels like you. But a large slice of what you call taste is really a residue. A quiet buildup left behind by whatever you happen to see the most. Your favorites aren't always the best things you ever encountered. Very often, they're just the most familiar. And familiarity is doing far more of the choosing than you are. That's the uncomfortable idea underneath everything that follows. That's not a bug in your judgment. It's the default setting. Now, the question that opens this whole thing up, what if you could grow to like something without ever understanding it? Not because it's good, not because a friend swore by it, only because you kept crossing paths with it, again and again. In 1968, a psychologist named Robert Zajonc set out to test exactly that. His hypothesis sounded almost too plain to matter. Repeated exposure to something all by itself warms your attitude toward it. No reward attached, no meaning required, just seeing it more. And what he found suggests your preferences are far more borrowed than you'd ever like to admit. Half the things you're sure you chose may have been quietly installed by sheer repetition. Stay with me, because the mechanism underneath is almost embarrassingly simple. Once you see how it runs, you start noticing it everywhere. In your feed, in your fridge, in the people you trust, and in the reflection you see every morning. Meaning gets built later. Contact comes first. You felt this 100 times without ever naming it. A song you hated the first time it played. Second time, less annoying. Fifth time, you catch yourself humming it in the shower. 10th time, it's somehow your song. Nothing about the song changed. You changed. The exact same thing happens with the ad you keep skipping. With the coworker you slowly warm to. With the logo that felt cold and corporate, until one day it felt like home. Familiarity does the heavy lifting. And it does it while you're looking somewhere else entirely. That's the sneaky part. You never feel the preference being built. There's no moment of decision. There's just a slow drift, one exposure at a time, until the thing you were indifferent to becomes the thing you defend. You didn't fall for it. You were worn into it. Repetition is patient, and it almost always wins. The order matters more than you'd think. First the exposure, then the affection, dressed up afterward as a real choice. Advertisers count on exactly this drift. So does every app you open. Think about your own face for a second. The face you meet in the mirror every day is reversed. That flipped version is the one you've seen the most, so it's the one you quietly prefer. Which is exactly why photos of yourself often feel slightly maddeningly wrong. The part in your hair sits on the other side. The little asymmetries land where you don't expect them. It isn't vanity, and it isn't insecurity. It's exposure, plain and simple. Your brain has logged thousands more hours with mirror you than camera you. So mirror you feels correct, and camera you feels like an imposter. Now scale that idea up. If your brain does this with your own face, imagine what it's doing with everything else you see on repeat. The version you encounter more, you like more. Even when that version is just a reflection. Even when the difference is only which way the world is flipped. And once it's yours, you'll invent reasons for it. The reasons come after the liking, not before. So back to Zajonc's experiment, because he built it to strip away every excuse. He needed images that carried no meaning at all for his participants. So he showed American students Chinese-style characters they couldn't read. Nonsense shapes as far as they were concerned. No message, no story, nothing obvious to like or dislike. Then he controlled the one thing that mattered, how often each shape appeared. Some characters were shown once, others were shown twice, 5 times, 10 times, on a schedule that climbed all the way up to 25 exposures. He also ran the same design with invented words and with photographs of faces, just to be sure it wasn't a fluke of one stimulus. After the viewing, he asked a disarmingly simple question. How much do you like this one? and the pattern that came back was almost unfair in how clean and consistent it looked. We rarely question the feeling. We just trust it, and call it instinct. The characters people saw more, they liked more. Almost every single time. Not because they decoded them. They had no idea what any of it meant. And that was the whole point. Liking climbed steadily with the number of exposures, and understanding never entered the equation. Meaning was optional. Repetition was not. And then Zayong chased the idea somewhere stranger. What if you don't even need to notice the thing? In later work with Kunst Wilson, he flashed shapes so fast that people couldn't consciously say they'd ever seen them. Ask them directly, and they'd guess at random. They genuinely didn't know. And yet, when asked which shapes they preferred, they reliably chose the ones they'd been flashed. The preference was real. The memory was missing. Liking had formed in the dark, underneath awareness, with no conscious witness at all. That result rewired how psychologists think about where feelings even come from. He wanted zero prior knowledge in the room. Pure exposure, and nothing else. Doing the work. 25 viewings. Or 1. That single difference moved how much people cared. Sit with what that actually means. Your brain can build a preference for something you don't remember seeing. The liking arrives without the memory attached, which raises a genuinely unsettling possibility, and one researchers are still testing carefully. If exposure works below awareness while you're awake, does it simply stop the moment you fall asleep? The honest answer is that the science here is still debated, and I won't pretend otherwise. But sleep studies at Northwestern University have shown something remarkable. The sleeping brain keeps processing sounds it learned while awake. Play a cue during deep sleep that was tied to earlier learning, and memory for that material can measurably strengthen. The brain doesn't fully clock out at night. It keeps sorting. It keeps listening. It keeps deciding what's familiar and what's safe. So the machinery that quietly shapes your taste may not have a clean-off switch. It may just change shifts. Feeling, it turned out, can run ahead of thought. And sometimes it never waits for thought at all. Preference without recall. That's a strange thing to hold in your head. So where is this quietly steering you right now today? Money, for a start. The brand you reach for usually isn't the best one on the shelf. It's the one you've seen the most. Repetition feels like trust, and trust feels like quality, even when nothing has actually been proven to you. Advertisers have understood this for over a century. They don't win by arguing you into a purchase. They win by showing up, again and again and again, until their name feels like an old friend you never actually met. That warm little flicker of recognition in the aisle? You rate it as a good product. Really, it's just mileage. You've simply logged more exposures to that label than to the one beside it. The feeling is genuine. The reason behind it is not what you think. Preference is often just familiarity, wearing the mask of judgment. Which means the shaping might quietly continue in the one place you assumed was off limits. It shapes your people, too, maybe more than anything else. Proximity is really just exposure with a heartbeat. The classmate you sat beside all year, the neighbor across the hall, the colleague 2 desks over. Studies of how friendships actually form keep finding the same thing. We don't bond most with the dazzling stranger. We bond with the person who simply keeps being there. Nearness becomes familiarity. Familiarity becomes comfort. Comfort quietly becomes fondness. It's why the person you see every single day slowly stops being background noise and starts being someone who matters. You didn't plan it. No spark announced itself. Repetition just did what repetition does. It turned presence into preference. So some of your deepest connections may have started for the least romantic reason imaginable. Not fate. Not chemistry. Just the plain fact that they kept showing up, and your brain kept counting. Notice it once, and the grocery aisle never looks innocent again. Distance made the stranger interesting. Repetition made the neighbor loved. Now the reframe, because this isn't a flaw in your wiring, it's ancient survival software, still running. For most of human history, the unfamiliar could genuinely kill you. A new plant, a new face at the edge of camp, a new sound in the dark. But if you'd seen something many times and it had never once hurt you, that was hard, earned evidence that it was safe. So the brain learned a shortcut and kept it. Repeated equals survived. Survived equals safe. Safe equals good. Liking, seen this way, is really just your nervous system exhaling. It's the quiet feeling of no threat detected here. That's why comfort and preference are so tightly braided together. Your ancestors, who trusted the familiar and stayed wary of the strange, tended to live longer. You inherited their caution. What feels like taste is often just an old, reliable safety check, still firing thousands of years after the danger left. The heart, it seems, keeps a tally you never asked it to keep. Presence, repeated, is its own kind of quiet courtship. But there's a hidden cost that the feel-good version of this always skips. If comfort tracks familiarity, then everything genuinely new starts at a disadvantage. The better idea you've heard exactly once. The healthier habit with no track record yet. The person who doesn't fit your usual type. The city you've never lived in. They don't lose because they're worse. They lose because they're new, and new quietly registers as slightly unsafe. Your loyalty to the familiar isn't always wisdom in disguise. Sometimes it's just the path your brain has walked the most, mistaken for the right one. This is how people stay in the wrong job, the wrong routine, the wrong story about themselves. Not because they chose it fresh each day, because it's familiar. And familiar feels like home even when home stops serving them. The comfort is real. That doesn't mean it's leading you anywhere good. Understanding that doesn't switch it off, but it does let you see it working. So here's the whole thing compressed into one line. You don't fall for what's best. You fall for what's near. That's the gift Zayonk handed us back in 1968, and it hasn't aged a single day. Your preferences are essentially a map of your exposure. Show me what you've seen the most, and I could guess a genuinely uncomfortable amount of what you love. Not because you're shallow, not because you're weak, because you're human. And repetition is the oldest language your brain has ever spoken. Every scroll, every replay, every drive down the same street is quietly casting a vote. And most of those votes get counted while you're paying attention to something else. The things you're most certain you chose freely are often the ones exposure chose for you first. Freedom of taste is real, it's just a lot smaller than it feels. Familiar and correct are not the same thing. They only feel identical from the inside. We call it loyalty. Often it's just inertia with a nicer name. So you can turn all of this into a quiet experiment on yourself. Nothing dramatic. Next time you notice a strong, immediate preference, just pause and ask one honest question. Do I actually love this? Or have I simply seen it 1,000 times? That single question won't dissolve the pull. The familiarity is still there, still humming. But asking it opens a small gap between the exposure and the choice. And inside that gap, you get a little room to decide for yourself, on purpose, instead of on autopilot. You might also try the reverse. Give the unfamiliar thing a few more honest exposures before you judge it. The new song, the new idea, the person who didn't click at first. Sometimes what felt like dislike was just distance. Try it once and watch how many of your certainties quietly turn out to be habits, wearing the costume of conviction. That awareness is the only real edge you get. So the taste you call yours was, in large part, handed to you by repetition, one glimpse at a time. The song, the face, the brand, the route home. None of it ever asked your permission. It only needed to be seen enough to feel like yours. That's what Zayonk's unreadable little symbols proved all those years ago. Liking can be built out of nothing but contact. Tomorrow, when something feels instantly, obviously right, you'll have a quieter question waiting. Where did that rightness actually come from? Not from the thing itself, most likely. From how many times it has already crossed your eyes, unnoticed, while you were busy calling it love. Small gap, real freedom. That's the whole practice, and it costs you nothing. You're not fighting your brain. You're just giving the new a fair hearing.